Well, thanks everybody for joining us. This is our last busy webinar of 2022. I am Trygve, the Director of Business Development here at BizzyWeb. With me as always is Dave. Hey, Dave.
Good to see you. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
And especially it's especially helpful because Dave's on the road at a road show in Dallas, Texas today. So he's going to be speaking to a couple of different people today. So that's we're honored that you made the time, Dave. Thanks for joining us for our last show of the year.
For sure. This is my favorite talk. I love doing busy webinars.
Me too. And for those of you who are listening in, if you make it till the end, we have a big special, big giant announcement that Dave and I have been working on for quite some time.
Ooh.
Exactly. So if you're new to the Busy webinar and you're wondering who the heck are these guys, we are part of an agency called BizzyWeb based in Minnesota, focused on B2B services and manufacturing companies. We really have a full spectrum of digital marketing availability, but we specialize in inbound marketing, CRM creation, sales enablement, and helping business grow across the Midwest and the country. So if you're interested in learning more about us, this is really not going to be much of a sales pitch today, as much as it is a just talk about what we learned and what we're seeing as trends and important things in 2022 and 2023. We'd love to hear from you. We are a HubSpot Platinum program partner, and we're also obviously a Grow with Google High Impact partner. So if you want to talk to us, we'd love to hear from you. You can hear from Dave and I, or you can also reach us at our website at BizzyWeb.com. So today, again, like always, it's kind of become a tradition. Now, this is my 8th time doing this, and I think you've done it for years beyond that, right, Dave? Where we talk about what we learned in 2022 and what we're seeing for 2023.
Indeed, so much going on, and the fun part about marketing is you really are constantly learning and growing and changing, and no more than this year. I think everything's kind of in flux right now, which is exciting and terrifying, and I'd have it no other way.
I read an interesting statistic while I was preparing for this that most marketers agree that marketing in the last 3 years has changed more than it did in the previous 50. So yep. This is an industry that is constantly in flux, constantly trying to get better, and constantly trying to continue to improve. So we're going to break this down into a couple of categories. Number one, we're going to show you some fun graphs that we got from the HubSpot State of Marketing Report in 2022 that we thought were particularly helpful. Trends for 2023, and which are using your tools that you have in a new way, and then how to get better in 2023. So if you have any questions, feel free and put it in the Q&A panel. Dave and I are both monitoring that, and we'd love to hear from you if you have some opinions or think differently about what we're talking about. But that's kind of what we're going to go for today, and hopefully you'll be able to learn a little and have a little fun along the way. So like always, it's the mark of a really effective presenter if they start with a big giant bar graph and then try to break it down. Right, Dave?
You got it. Nothing better.
So this is something that we found from the State of Inbound from HubSpot that I just thought was fascinating. As people are continually looking for a new competitive advantage, where do they find it? And what you see here is that the 3 big ones, which is Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, are still really where more B2B and B2C marketing is happening. What's really fascinating about this, I think, Dave, is that there's such a lack of focus on LinkedIn in 2022. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think one of the things that we're seeing, especially for B2C, right, and that's where we like to focus most, is that there's just a lot of noise, and part of the loss of traction on LinkedIn, I think, might be partly due to the people swapping around on jobs, because we're seeing quite a bit more bouncing around. And as people are moving jobs, their accounts get unhooked. And so for corporate marketing, you need to do a bunch of things to get your LinkedIn account up and running on the company level. And LinkedIn's company level tools have traditionally and historically been kind of lackluster, and certainly they don't get nearly the views or the algorithmic boost that regular old profiles get. LinkedIn's still trying to figure out what it's doing and what it wants to be when it grows up.
I think the LinkedIn is one of those things that I think really is useful in theory, but then in practice tends to degrade its productivity for a couple of reasons. Number one is what we hear from our paid ad department at BizzyWeb is that LinkedIn ads are astronomically more expensive than anything else, especially as you are comparing it to something like Facebook, which gives you the opportunity to micro target based on, I think, 125 different demographic points.
Mhm.
So if you have to be on LinkedIn, you're going to have to spend considerably more. The other thing that I've seen a lot of, and I'm sure you have too, Dave, is there's a whole new industry of people who are trying to offer software as a service platforms on LinkedIn in hopes to get you new leads, where they will send automated messages to LinkedIn lists.
AKA they will spam everybody, right?
Yeah, and the problem is nobody really changes the message. So we're all getting the same message, which is, hi, I saw you and you're in business and I'm in business, so we have something in common. And then here's what I do for a living. And then here's my calendar. So let's talk. Well, that doesn't really work because you're not actually giving people a reason. You're just announcing yourself and saying you should come talk to me.
Yeah.
You haven't really diagnosed a problem. You really haven't validated that there's a problem. You haven't even validated that you're potentially a solution to the problem, let alone the right solution. Right. So I think LinkedIn is, as you said, going to go through some growing pains from the socials, I think, in 2023. But I think it still is where most real players are in terms of content promotion and thought management and thought leadership is on LinkedIn. And I know, Dave, you're a TikToker, right? You follow the TikTok, and because you have a teenage daughter, so you're a lot more onto it than I am.
I'm on to monitor and make sure that nothing crazy happens. I have posted probably 10 or so posts, which makes me an absolute newbie on this stuff. But I think especially for TikTok, it's one to watch because the algorithm is just bonkers at how good it gets at giving you what you're looking for. And there's massive potential for you to go viral if you can do something interesting. The trick with that, and if you think that you've never seen TikTok and you have Facebook, you've seen lots of TikTok, because all of the reels that are on Facebook, I'd say probably 85 to 90% of them are just reposted TikToks. And a lot of times you'll even see it at the end of every one of those reels on Facebook or Instagram, the little TikTok flag popping up. So you are seeing TikTok even if you don't have a TikTok account. It's a great opportunity to flex your creative muscles, and conversely, to get some bonus out of just having a little fun. And that's kind of where I'm seeing most of the value of TikTok in particular, but also some of the other networks, is just getting to play around. We're going to get to Twitter in a minute, but kind of all bets are off on Twitter right now. And we're not encouraging any of our clients to make long-term bets or even to advertise really on Twitter right now, because it might be down imminently. We just don't know what's going to happen. YouTube has always been a stalwart.
And that's not a political knock. We're not taking when we say that, we're not taking a political side. What we're saying is when you fire 80% of the workforce, it's maybe see how everything shakes out for a couple months before you start investing money.
And maybe it'll turn out that Musk is brilliant and they didn't need 80% of their workforce, because it's still up. It's still working as of right now, as of the published time right now on December 7th. And it's going for 2 weeks longer than most of us thought it was going to. But we'll see. I'm not comfortable making good, big leveraged bets on advertising on Twitter at the moment.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's continue with even more bar graphs. So this I thought was fascinating, because one of the things that I've always tried to get us to start talking about at BizzyWeb is the honeycomb effect, that doing one thing isn't as helpful as doing a lot of things that are chained together. And so in 2022, the marketers are using at least one channel, if not two or three, to try and get the word out. And what really sort of rolls this back is that you have to have a unified content strategy to put interesting content out on each of your channels and make sure that you're actually getting a return for it.
Mhm.
I think the challenge with this is that if you're putting out content and you're not getting a return, does that mean that you should continue to do that? I think it really depends on if you've got a plan in place, then maybe, but if you're just posting to try and get clicks, then maybe not so much.
Yeah, agreed.
Awesome. And then finally, because we were really into the infographics, I wanted to point this out because I thought this was fun, is that 45% of most marketers now are using data to try and prove their case as to either the validation of the problem that they can help with, or that they can actually that the problem is real and that they can be a solution for it. So most of those 45% are saying that infographics are the most effective content type, which is interesting. I think everybody wants to see numbers, right, Dave?
Mm-hmm. And pictures, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. I think what we're seeing, especially with the first slide that we showed, is that easy bite-sized content that proves a point that somebody can ingest really quickly is really helpful. So cool, awesome. Well, let's see let's get into some trends that we see are really important. So this is something that has been on the rise over the last couple of years, which is short form videos. There's a number of different platforms that you can create small bite-sized videos to not only create a personalization effect, but also to demonstrate a certain amount of competency, and even to create something that's just really fun and interesting. So this is something that we've been preaching for a long time. I made this video, and I won't press play, but this is a video that I made for a client that shows a certain amount of realism. You can see that I'm in my home office and it's a little messy. I'm a real person. I have real pictures on the wall, and that looks like I'm probably pretty tired at the end of the day. But generally speaking, a good rules of thumb is doing short form videos about 60 to 90 seconds. I know for me, I never really want to write a 3-paragraph email. So if I'm writing more than 2 minutes in an email, I'm just going to turn them on my camera and just talk for a little bit.
Yeah.
And create a video. I also use this when we are talking to prospects too, where I'm reciting the things that we've talked about in conversations if I'm presenting a proposal. And so the first thing they see in a proposal is a customized video made from me. Dave, what are you seeing with short form videos?
I think what people are kind of getting used to is that video is in fact something that's accessible. And so I'm seeing more videos from other people wanting to talk to me. And as we send out videos to our clients, I'm noticing that the open rates are starting to go up. People are clicking on video all the time in their daily life. You know, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter to some extent, they all have embedded videos. YouTube has YouTube Shorts to get small bits of content out there. So if you can customize and use the same tips and tricks or the same tools to engage with people, you're seeing a lot more willingness to pick it up for sure. And we also have a massive amount, especially if you're not on TikTok at all, I would encourage you to just get an account and to start browsing around to see what these creative people are doing, because there are ways to engage that you haven't thought of that are being shown for you expertly by 12-year-old kids at some point, and in some cases. And so you can really play with it.
Tony asked a great question, Dave. What's the time limit for short form videos?
It really depends on the platform that you're using and the practicality. So if you're sending a video in an email using one of the tools that we're going to talk about in a second, I'd recommend keeping it under 45 seconds to a minute long. Just keep it short and sweet, because people see how much time that video is, and you're not going to sign up for a 5-minute video if you're scrolling through emails. YouTube Shorts, 60 seconds or less. TikToks, there is a way to go longer, but 3 minutes is the max. And really, a TikTok should be short. Probably 60 to 90 seconds is what I would go for in that. And then in other videos, it really depends. If you're doing a presentation to a client, you can go deeper, you can go wider. Talks like these, like our busy webinars, I'm still cool with them going up to an hour. We're probably only going to do about 45 minutes today, because we're trying to capture that magical window. If you don't have a whole hour to dedicate, if you see that the timestamp on that video is only 45 minutes and it's talking about things that you want, we've noticed that our replays, our views have gone up pretty dramatically, as long as it's under that hour long. So again, recapping, super short for social and email, medium, like 3 minutes or less for most kind of socially stuff. And then depending on the value and what you're doing, definitely under an hour, and probably under 45 minutes for most of the rest. That's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think
agree?
I think that's fair. I think the thing that when you're making a short form video, you want to keep in mind is, what exactly do you want from the viewer? And there's usually ask involved. And so when you're creating that video, what do you really want from them, and make sure that you get to it quickly, because the point of it is to make something that's unique to that individual person. I do think one of the things that I sort of mentioned, but I wanted to come back to, because Dave, you and I are both HubSpot trainers. You're a Google trainer. A lot of times we have to get into the technical nitty gritty of things, which is also what short form videos are great for, is explainer videos too. So if I'm having to explain to somebody how to do something, we could get on the phone, we could do a screen share, and we could go, no, click here, no, click here. The other way I can do it is I can turn on the camera, I can record my screen, and I can give them a resource that helps them, that they can go back to, so that not only have they solved the problem the first time, they have the similar problem they can come back to. So it's a great tool. We have a couple of ones on screen here. So if you want to take a screenshot of this is a good one to take a screenshot of. Vidyard is the tool that I use a lot. Dave is a Wistia guy, and that's okay. Both of these are browser extensions. They're free and paid versions of all three. But you can get into it. The neat thing is you can actually see when people view your videos. So if somebody's watching it, you'll get a notification of it, so you know that they've watched. And you can be fun, and you can be irreverent, you can be a little different, because ultimately, when you're trying to get new business, one of the things that you do have to show is that you are somebody that they're going to want to spend time with. So occasionally you can do some fun videos as well.
Looking at our participant list, Trygve, I know we've got some pretty big hitters online with us. I'd love to hear what they're using for video as well. So if you have any recommendations, please go ahead and share those up in the Q&A tool, and we'll make sure to give you a nod and share your tools as well.
Absolutely. So the next trend is certainly near and dear to my heart, which is the rise of the influencer, both big and small. So the person on the left, that is Kylie Jenner. She's the world's first and she is the youngest billionaire, and and if companies want to associate with her, she charges millions and millions of dollars to make a post. And what she does then is, because it's involved with her, then that company sees a boost in revenue, which is just really surprising. So who's the little kid to the left, Dave?
That guy on my right is Spicy Luigi.
Yes,
Spicy Luigi, I believe is his name.
That's Spicy Luigi, and he is a micro influencer. He is all of 8 years old. He has a YouTube show where he eats spicy food, and it's hilarious because he thinks he likes spicy food, and every time he eats it, he he instantly regrets it, and thus comedy ensues. So he's got a following of several hundred people. I think 710 the last time I looked at him. And he's a great example of what a micro influencer is. So when companies on the macro level want to work with somebody like Kylie Jenner, they have to realize that's a ton of expense just to get them associated with it. But there are all sorts of micro influencers, people who have hundreds or even in the thousands, that are much more approachable. And what ends up happening is when they're working or expressing an affinity for a particular brand, then there is still that same bump in revenue. It's smaller, but it's much less expensive.
And it's proven out through Spicy Luigi that brands are taking notice of micro influencers, because what happened to Spicy Luigi very recently?
Well, Spicy's first episode, by the way, if you haven't figured out by now, Spicy Luigi is my son. And his first episode, and again, this isn't something I made him do. He did this all on his own. His first episode was reviewing Tabasco sauce, and Tabasco actually saw the video and liked it, and he got a letter from the CEO of the Tabasco company and naming him an honorary Cajun, and then giving him his own bottle of private stock Tabasco sauce, which, despite me being his father, he refuses to let me have any of. And but more importantly, then when Tabasco had a new product coming out, there's a worldwide sriracha shortage.
I'm very sad about it.
Yeah, they've actually started to make and bottle their own sriracha. And so one of the things they did is they sent us a bottle of the new Tabasco brand sriracha, and we did a video for them. So it's weird how this works, but there's a great opportunity. And statistically speaking, this is not just a promo for my son. 89% of marketers who utilized influencer marketing are going to increase their spend in 2023. And a lot of 17% of marketers on the whole are going to try it for the first time, because they find it expands their brand awareness and creates a really nice niche audience. And as we know, as we say all the time at BizzyWeb, the riches are in the niches. So 56% of all marketers have worked with small micro influencers. They have a smaller footprint, they charge less, but what you get is you get a much higher degree of authenticity than when it's clearly an advertisement. Then what people are really looking for is trust. And the goal here is to not to just create clicks and likes, but actually to try and move product.
For sure. And I think the funnest part about micro influencing is that they have dedicated followers. And you said it already, the riches are in the niches. They have a very enthusiastic group of followers that fit a very tight niche. So if you need to reach those people, it would make a lot of sense to look into who you're reaching and who that person connects with. And all good micro or regular influencers have data on who they reach and who they connect with. And the tools are getting better so that you can actually see what that reach is getting you.
Absolutely. Just to follow up.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Follow up from our previous slide. Craig Key chimed in. He says that he uses Loom and he really likes it as a video platform.
Beautiful. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig. All right, our next trend that we are seeing is social media as a service platform. So one of the things that when people don't necessarily realize when they create a social platform, that's not only an opportunity to listen to your customers, but it is also an opportunity for your customers to speak directly to you. So if they have problems, they have issues, they have needs, they're going to reach out to you on a one-to-one basis, because there's an expectation now that in the social media world that companies are listening. For certain larger companies, Xfinity has done this for years. If you say something damaging about Xfinity on Twitter within a half an hour, you're going to get somebody to reach out to you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the stats, because the stats are important. Is that 1 in 4 millennials have contacted a brand in the last 3 months asking for help on social media, because they want to have that experience but they don't want to talk to people. So they want to be able to solve it with just a click and a go. And even Gen Zers, those people who are, as they're coming into the workforce, they're also contacting customer service through the website. So what's the issue here is that, again, listening is still absolutely crucial to what your customers want. What are they talking about? What are they really trying to push? And how can you meet them where they want to be met?
There's actually a really interesting or fun story from Digital Summit that I heard the last talk I gave. Another speaker was up and he was giving examples of social media listening. And it was, I believe, in Philadelphia or something, but it was a large convention center, and the convention center had an account, and somebody posted to the Twitter account, "Help, I'm stuck in the elevator. Can somebody help get me out?" And this was, now let's just go ahead and say it was 2022, but it was in January. And then the convention center answered 4 months later and said, "Oh my, are you all right?" If you have real concerns, social media, and if you're not actually browsing and looking for those, people are expecting to hear back from you, and lives may be on the line if you're not actually monitoring those accounts. Whitney actually asked, do the social media and service stats also include chat bots on websites? I don't think that the chat bot itself is what's measured in these 1 in 5. And I would say that the chat bots actually make it a much larger number, because people go to a website and then you get this friendly little thing that pops up and you answer it. The numbers that Trygve has on screen are explicitly through social, where they've contacted with a social media account. So they've added on Twitter or connected on Facebook and hit a message, or tried to connect up by commenting in a TikTok feed. So I think it's getting huge on social, but even more so, contact us form. If you expect everyone to go through a contact us, or if you expect everyone to call you, you're missing out on a massive opportunity, because people simply don't want to talk anymore as much as they want to be able to just type with their fingers and say, "Hey, what's up with this?" or "I'm upset," or I really love your product," and hear back from you. And chatbots are a great thing to include on your website unobtrusively. I hate chatbots that pop up right away as soon as you visit any page. My best practice and recommendation is to have a chatbot that only pops up when you scroll down to the bottom of a page. You've explored, you've experienced what you're looking for, and then you're ready to chat. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're probably looking for something anyway. So then it makes sense and it fits into what your customer is expecting.
I think that's a great point, Dave, that chatbots, like anything, are meant to be helpful, but if they're too obtrusive, then it's like that car salesman who jumps on you as soon as you walk in the door. You haven't had an opportunity to even take your coat off or acclimate to the air conditioning. They're just already on you. So
right.
Again, the goal here is, what we heard as from going from 2021 into 2022 is content, push content. And there's a lot of that still is true, but what we're seeing now is there's an opportunity to continue to listen and be authentic. So ideally, when you're having a channel, it should be consistently monitored. One of the things that we do is we connect ours with our CRM, so that when we do get responses, we have people who are not just sitting on Facebook all day, it dings and somebody is able to answer them within a couple of minutes. So again, the goal here, constantly try and cue your team to be understanding of what's happening in the world and what your customers are talking about. Our next one, and this is something that we get asked a question a lot, is why is blogging a thing, and why do you guys keep pushing blogging? Well, it's because blogging is actually valuable and it's still a real thing. So statistically speaking, more people than less people are buying because of what they read in a blog. And that's because of the inbound methodology. When somebody is looking at your website or reading your blog, what they're not necessarily looking for the information. I think that they are, but really the overarching question that they're asking is the problem that I have actually a problem? And is my problem being validated by reading this article? And then what are the potential solutions?
And kind of what when I'm talking to clients about this on why should I have a blog, your customers probably aren't going to your website and reading your blog as a habit. But if they're considering you, they're going to look at what you do, and having a library of helpful and informative content on your website that's written conversationally is helpful. But also it's a twofer, because every blog post that you put out, you're sending out into the world. And Google search engine optimization is about matchmaking between what people are searching for and content that's helpful. So if you have a blog that talks about exactly what that person is searching for, if your blog pops up in that search result and they click on it, then they're on your website. They know you can help you. They can help with what they're looking for, and you're more likely to have a new customer.
Absolutely. And there are side benefits that go along with that in the marketing realm, that the more content that you put out using the sort of keywords that are relevant to your buyer and the contextual keywords, the more opportunities you get at that. I think everybody's sort of seen that website that says, for the best plumber in Texas, Texans who need a plumber are calling Texas's best plumbing at texasbestplumbing.com. That's keyword stuffing, and that's not actually helpful in 2023 when it comes to search engine optimization.
That's right.
All right, our next trend that we are seeing is it's kind of being brought back. It's called experiential marketing. So I'm going to play this video while I talk through this. And this was something that happened 10 years ago. This was what this gentleman named Felix did is they put him on an air balloon and flew him 24 miles up into the atmosphere, and he jumped straight back down to earth. And so the entire thing was broadcast, and the entire thing was shown on YouTube. It had 8 million followers while it was happening. And it's still to this day one of the best and highly viewed things on YouTube. Now, what's really interesting about this, Dave, is while I've played this and just simply explained this video, not only, and this is a highlight video, the question I'd have for you is, how many times have you seen the Red Bull logo? It's pretty much the whole way through, and that's because they were the big sponsor of this. Look, he's about to jump, and so it's getting to the point where it's terrifying, where he's literally in the upper atmosphere and he's about to jump. So oh, there he goes. And so we'll watch him fall, but keep in mind that while we're watching him fall, we're also seeing Red Bull. And Red Bull as a brand is trying to push the idea that life is more exciting the more Red Bull you drink. And so this is certainly exciting, as well as more than a little terrifying. But what we're seeing in 2023 is more of this is happening, especially as a tie-in to coming out of the pandemic. So M&M's recently did an experience where you could take pictures in a nice snow globe when they released a peppermint thing. But what we're seeing now is that there's a difference between what you can buy in the store and what you can buy digitally. And TGI Fridays especially is doing this right now, is they have specials and they have food that are only available digitally. And so why is that? It's because in order to get that food and get that experience and that new thing, you have to sign up, you have to give an email. And then all of a sudden the company in question can start talking to you, and they can start interacting with you. So you're going to see more of this in 2023 for sure. Now, to be fair, it's a little expensive, and it's not for everybody, but you're going to see more and more companies try and tie in, hey, give me an intimate, if you get this one particular thing, then I'll give you a small reward. So next trend that we're seeing that I think is absolutely critical in this day and age is good enough isn't good enough anymore for a website in 2023. So many people that we're seeing still have 5, 6, 7-year-old websites, 10-year-old websites that they've really not gotten anything from. And that's because they're focused on how scary it is to build a new website. And it's not scary, but it is challenging. It is something that takes a lot. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, because it encompasses the entire front of the house operations for a company, how they talk to people, what message, who they're talking to. And sometimes there's a clash between sales and marketing, and a lot of that has to get worked out in developing a website. So what we're seeing is companies then feeling like, okay, I don't want to keep going. I don't want new, because if what I have, I understand, and it's not good, but I get it, and it's there, and it's not as scary. Or they're seeing something like, a reverse to the lowest common denominator. Like WordPress as a software runs about half the internet right now, and so it's open source. So why are websites so expensive? Well, websites aren't expensive. Websites that actually make companies money is expensive, right, Dave?
Well, it's not even expensive. It takes money to make money in
That's
that
true.
case, right? So if you want small results, invest small. If you
Yeah.
want big results, you actually have to invest something. And we believe that growth-driven design is a great way to actually take small investments leveraged over time to turn into big results.
And can you explain a little bit what growth-driven design is?
Yeah, so on the chart on screen today, what we have is the idea of growth-driven design is to launch your website as quickly as possible, and then to make very small improvements over the course of the following year. So we actually merge marketing and website design so that your website is a constant and fluidly updated piece of investment. So it's a leverage tool. So Q1, we're probably working on getting you more leads in one specific audience. Q2, we expand on that, deepen those, and then move further. And then we continually learn and adjust as we go and add new pages or tweak conversion optimization points, like bigger calls to action, or changing the titles, changing the content, leveraging different advertising to get to there, so that it's a constantly updated tool instead of something that you launch once and then forget about until you get so frustrated with it that you decide, I need another massive redesign.
Yeah, I think a lot of what Dave just said is sort of marketing speak for incremental growth. But at the end of the day, what growth-driven design really means is your website gets better faster and gives you better results faster.
Yep.
So what we're seeing is that's there's a merging of that part, and there's not a waterfall effect in the sales and marketing anymore. What really is companies that are growing quickly are understanding that the entire front of the house operations is important, and that's because trust is still as important, more important than ever. So people still have problems that need to be addressed. You still have revenue goals, and your clients still need to be served at a high level. And that's why what we're seeing again, and we talk about this a lot here at BizzyWeb, but the flywheel effect is really the most important thing in business today. Is there's no such thing as a sales funnel anymore. It really means that your customer needs to be the center of their own universe, and how you market to them is just as important as how you sell to them, which is just as important as how you service them. And at any point through that process, then your customer can fall off. They can be frustrated. They can have issues. And so providing a consistent user experience, customer experience throughout the entire life cycle of them being a customer is more critical than ever.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we have one last trend to talk about before we let everybody have their hour back. And this is something that has just exploded in 2022, which is podcasts. There's been a massive growth in podcasts in 2022. 82% of marketers who are investing in that plan to continue to invest, and 50% of those say that it's their best avenue to communicate who they are. So, Dave, you and I are both pretty heavy podcast junkies. What's your favorite podcast right now?
There's a lot of them. I kind of pivot between entertainment podcasts and education, but some that I like are like Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend for education, and 99% Invisible. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's on there. Reid Hoffman has the growth podcast from the LinkedIn guy, and there's so many just great little snippets of content. They run the gamut from short and sweet, like half-hour interviews, up through, 3-hour long massive tomes per session, like Hardcore History. So
Yeah.
Hardcore History is done by Dan Carlin, and he actually goes through a deep dive into some fascinating bit of either ancient or near history, all the way from the World Wars through the Mesopotamian dynasty or the Han dynasty. And so super, super interesting, but it's all about the storytelling of word. And it's a different thing. And yes, people are commuting less, but I think people have kind of gotten hooked on the opportunity to just throw in your headphones and go for a workout and listen to your favorite podcast. And so it's something that businesses should consider if you have an interesting story to tell, and if you have something that you can serve your clients with. So for B2B marketers, we're toying with this with a few of our clients, where we're actually looking at what questions do your customers consistently have, and can we connect you with those customers through narrative form. And so we just have podcasts that we're looking at starting, and we believe very, very much in eating our own dog food. So that probably leads up to the drum roll bit.
Yeah, Texas-sized drum roll for those of you who have stayed this whole time. Our big announcement is Dave and I have started our own podcast, and it will start to get released this month, hopefully, but definitely coming soon. It's called Dial It In. It'll be available at any place that you get podcasts, and we'll obviously have some communication about it. Dave and I are taking the opportunity to just tell stories of people who we see in our world with who are just really fascinating, people who have a story to tell, things that are helpful in the business world, but also entertaining. And then, you obviously get more me and more Dave.
Right. And I think the important part and the through line between all of our podcast episodes is these are all people that have, for lack of a better term, dialed in their businesses or their lives to an extent where they've assembled some process that really works well for them. And that's a big part of what we're asking, and having fantastic chats. We've had 9 interviews so far.
9 or 10 so far, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm super, super excited about it. Tony, we love it too. Thank you. We have some really fun designers on staff.
The designer who actually designed that is kind of a millennial, and we had to explain to her what the cord in the back was and where that went.
Oh, thanks, Deb. We look forward to hearing lots of feedback from folks as we go. And actually, Deb, you would be a fantastic guest, as Tony as well.
Absolutely.
Connect up with us if you'd like to join.
Yeah. So those are the kind of the trends that we are seeing in 2022, and kind of where we're leading people. But at the end of the day, I think what's the most important thing is trust is really more and more important than ever. People still need to still have problems that they need solved, and they still have they're going to go about trying to solve them in any way that they can. But lead with trust, lead with authenticity, and demonstrate that you're the right fit for them, and then they'll definitely start working with you. Dave, any last classy and inspirational thoughts as we end the year?
Yeah, it's been such a big year, and we've talked a little bit about a lot of things. And the big thing that I hear from my customers and friends and just people in the industry is there's always a lot of nervousness or concern about what might be coming up. Twitter has been on the brink of death ever since it was mentioned that Elon Musk was going to be buying it. It's still here. And conversely, there's so much that you can do if you Google SEO, or if you Google any of the things that we talked about. You're going to get hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of results. How do you break all this down? Small tests. So all of the trends that we talked about, I would encourage you to just try some of them. Try video, try doing some interactivity and some chat bots, try doing a podcast or guest on a podcast and see how it feels for you. Because it's so much fun to play around with these formats. And the only way you're going to get better is by actually dipping your toe in the water and trying it. So make small leverage bets and go have fun. 2023 is going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get there. So Dave, thanks for joining us all the way from Texas. If you'd like to hear from us, check us out online at BizzyWeb.com and stay tuned for the podcast. Should be released anytime now. Thanks everybody. Have a happy holiday season and see you in 2023.
See ya.